didn't do a screen recording. It got deleted somehow. So I'm doing this for the second time. I do these late at night. I've worked during the day and spend time with family and friends in the evening. So I do these late at night, but I just want to shine some light on the truth, at least through my perspective. But I try and be as factual as possible and demonstrate my way through logic instead of feelings. Um, Obviously, that's not what happened here. I just said that guy's triggered, but we'll get back to that. This is kind of how I ended the video, the original one. But I did want to go through some story polls on my story, and we can go through them, and we can go. We'll do some short analysis on them. Starting out with the free market, and this is pretty scary. Going back there and holding it paused, but 13% of people don't support the free market. That's a lot of people. Because if you think about it, to get control, you only need 25% of people to believe something, and then that's a toss up. So in the Democratic primaries, Bernie Sanders only need to convince 25% of people, well, less than that, half the Democratic Party, and then if you won, the rest of the Democrats would fall behind him, and then he'd just have to win over a few swing voters. So that's kind of how politics works, and it's unfortunate because in the end, 25% of people end up making the decisions for everyone. But that's the point of the free market, that people can make their own decisions. And the free market is as simple as going out, and posting apparel on your Instagram, on your YouTube, or even starting a business, a lawn care business, small business, you start it up, but they say no, they don't want a free market. 13% of people said no. And I just can't fathom how they want to ban people from selling stuff. The free market means you can sell stuff. That's what it is. And 13% of people want government control of means of production. And that means you double that for the number of Democrats. 26% are economically, not government, but economically communist. And that's a scary number. Um, we'll go through the polls first and then go back to that. 17% of people want to pack the court. If you're a Democrat, this is my pitch to you because you've heard all the other Republican arguments. But think about it this way. Trump came into office around 4 years ago, and he had the Senate, and the court was unfavorable to Mr. Trump. It was unfavorable. It was 5-4, I believe. And he could have added justices. He had the Senate, and he had the White House, but he didn't because it wasn't the right thing to do. And you might think otherwise, but 3 vacancies opened during his presidency. 3 vacancies, and when you get a vacancy and you have the Senate, you can fill it. Obama, he had a vacancy, but he didn't have the Senate. There's checks and balances on the, you can't just go around and appoint whoever you want. The Senate's going to confirm it, and that's a good thing because that way, and people from every state get representation in the Senate, and the um, and the executive branch is more kind of popular. It's more of the states voting again because Trump didn't win the popular vote, but it's two. There are 2 branches of government, and I'm sure everyone understands how checks and balances work. But 17% of people want to pack the court. So if you do that, it could become a political football. You guys add 4 justices this time around. Next time around, we add 7 justices. It goes out of control. It's something that you definitely don't want to see. Court packing is a very bad thing, destroying one of the branches of government. Here's another one, and I actually anticipated more support for this, but this just goes to show that the single payer people, there's not a lot of you. It's Bernie Sanders. He was almost able to convince his party for on an idea that only 13% of people, at least on this poll, support. And once you get those majority, that 50% within your party, then most of your party is going to back you, most of it, and then you just have to pitch it to the swing voters. So again, 13% of people want single payer health insurance, and that's still a lot. That's still way too much because, what if the government, again, I'm going to bring up the lawn mowing, and what if the government, you have a house, and the government says, oh, if you have a house, we'll mow your lawn for free. Sounds really good, right? And then you think about who's going to pay for it, and then they say taxes. And I guess, all right, well, taxes it is. And now other people who don't have houses, you live in an apartment, especially people in cities, now they're also paying into your lawn service. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is now the government controls the means of production. So think about all of the small lawn care businesses. Even if it was a public option, think about all of the small businesses and jobs you'd be running into the ground, and then they'd have to quit, and then they have to go and work for the government. That's exactly how communism works. You can't have your own business, so you go and vote for the government. And when you work for the government, you can't get to the top. You're not going to get to, you're not going to become president by starting out as a social worker. That's ridiculous. It's a terrible system. Affirmative action or equal opportunity. Again, people support equal opportunity, especially Asians. Asians have been the worst hit group by affirmative action because they save a certain amount of spots for African Americans. And that's racism as a definition. Saving spots for people because of their skin color. Now, people who came from Asia, especially people who came from India, it's not a rich country. People who come from Mongolia, forget about China. China's, getting there. People who come from Kazakhstan, or the middle of nowhere, they come here and they work hard. They're more disadvantaged than black people who are living here, I'll tell you that. Those countries are way worse. Way worse. You come here, you work hard, and you get, a 4.0 GPA. And they say, well, we have an African American kid with a 3.0, but there's no spots left for non-black people. So you don't get in. And that's terrible. You're making acceptance based on race. Just imagine if affirmative action was for white people. Everyone would see the inequality there, but no one sees the inequality for anyone else but black people, including Asian people, very unfairly treated by affirmative action. White people, obviously, very unfairly treated by affirmative action. And it turns out 88% of people support equal opportunity over affirmative action. So again, that's at 25, the radical left. No joke. They're controlling the narrative. Is Biden a ploy for a Harris administration? Yes. Yes, it is. And even 71% of people think so. Even Democrats acknowledge that Biden is not super mentally competent. And I think that's it for the polls. So we can go back and go through all the pieces in between. Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't have coronavirus. Trust me. But here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, expand the court. What a terrible thing. Turning the court into a political football. I think I already talked about this with the court packing segment. Terrible thing. It's not a myth. It's not a myth. And where but America can a female Supreme Court justice with 2 black kids get sworn in by a black Supreme Court justice only to have Democrats pronounce her as racist? And I'm tired of people calling ACB racist. Show me the racism and I'll believe it. But she has 2 black kids. I don't see how that's racist. Here, the left's platform. Some of this, unfortunately, has already happened. Your churches closed, but you can still go to the Home Depot. They have a big lobby. Churches don't have a lobby, so you can't go to church. You can go to a Black Lives Matter protest and voice your opinion, voice your beliefs at the Black Lives Matter protest, but you can't go to church. Abortion on demand. Yeah. Rampant sexual perversion. I'm not going to go into this too much, but Bill Clinton and what was his name? Jeffrey Epstein. They were on the same plane on the same island. Get that in your head. Guns banned. They won't say it in the general election, but if you watch the primaries for the Democrats, guns banned is definitely a big thing. Speech censored. That's already happening. If you look at there's basically two social media giants. Facebook, which owns Instagram, it owns Messenger, and I believe it owns WhatsApp. Obviously, Facebook, it owns that as well. And then you have Twitter. And they say we want to ban hate speech, and that doesn't sound so bad, does it? But then who defines what is hate speech? If it's a group of billionaires, count me out. Because that's not hate speech. It's not hate speech to what was that? The New York Post article. It was actively suppressed. That wasn't hate speech. That was an investigative document released by the New York Post, which was founded by Alexander Hamilton. That wasn't hate speech, but that was censored. So who decides what's hate speech? And that's why we have the freedom of speech, the First Amendment. Wealth redistributed. People think that's a good thing until a lot of students. But let's say you're a student, you have a 4.5 GPA. You know what? Why don't I redistribute your GPA to everyone else? Because that's fair, right? When it's your stuff, then people's mind change. Oh, no, it doesn't sound like such a good idea to me. Why don't we only tax 50% of your GPA? Because black kids are more disadvantaged, and they should get some extra GPA points from you. Isn't that right? So when you actually think about it, that's pretty terrible. Let's not forget public housing in suburbs. People have worked hard. They spend $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 on their home, and then you put a project right next to it. That's not nice. That's not fair. Replacing police officers with psychologists. Telling businesses that if they're essential. That's straight out of 1984. We have a list of essential words. We have, telling people every job is essential. Every person deserves to put food on the table for their family. And a free enterprise. You already saw that. The polls, 10%, that's a lot of people. 13%, that's a lot of people. It used to be the few very crazy people, maybe less than 1%, that support the free market. And those are considered crazy people. And now there's a lot. There's a whole block of them. 10% is a voting block. 10% is enough to sway an entire election. And the end of socioeconomic mobility obviously comes after that. Which parties attack blacks? Democrats. Pro-slavery, pro-Jim Crow. Remember, I think I actually might be sick, but the Democrats are the party of the Ku Klux Klan. Republicans are the party of Abraham Lincoln. Attacks on whites. Now, all they've done is they switched within 60 years. They've switched from degrading black people to degrading white people. And now, critical race theory. If you're white, you're inherently racist. That's the most racist thing I've heard. Telling me, and I'm not saying I'm white, but if I was, then I'm racist just because of the way I was born. Stereotyping people based on the color of their skin. That's racism. That's what critical race theory is, and that's what Democrats stand for. It's an age-old strategy, divide and conquer. And that's why we as Republicans, most of us, we don't see, a lot of us, don't see white or black or Latino. We peel off the labels and we see Americans. We see American jobs. We don't say buy black or buy white. We say buy American. Hire American. All lives matter. And that's the truth. And then we already went over affirmative action, equal opportunity. And even CNN, you can search it up, even they admit Kamala Harris is the most liberal senator. She's left of Bernie Sanders. Put that into perspective and think about weak Joe Biden. He's not going to be leading. It's going to be her. It's going to be that 13% who want to end the free market. It's communism. It's bad, and it's coming, and we have to stop it. And you can be sued. You can be sued for maintaining your innocence now. I think we all remember the woman from the 90s. Remember, 30 years ago, she said she was raped on a plane or something. 30 years ago. And she just brought it up around Trump. As soon as Trump decides to run for president, she brings it up. Trump denies the allegation. She's just trying to sell books. And they're opening the door for him to get sued. Sued for maintaining your innocence. So guys, if you get accused by a woman on the street, just admit to it and take the jail time, because if you deny it, if you try and defend yourself, then you'll get sued. Sued without evidence. Remember, there's no evidence. 30 years ago, very convenient timing. Terrible thing. Terrible thing, not just for Trump, but for all men. We shouldn't be treated this way. Most men are not rapists. 99.9% of men are not rapists. They're good people, and you're opening the door for a lot of women. Rich men, they want money. The rich guy takes a young girl on a date, and she accuses him of rape because she knows that now if he denies her accusation, he can be sued for defamation. What a terrible thing. That should not happen in America. And Kamala Harris, she also did blackmail and adultery. I think I kind of skipped over that point. She put thousands of people in jail for marijuana and laughed about it when asked if she smoked it herself. And the adultery and blackmail, she slept around with the mayor for power. She basically bent over for power. And it was with an affair. It was an affair he was having, cheating on his wife. And then you can search it up, read all about it, that she basically blackmailed him to get appointed and to basically jumpstart her political career. It's a total corrupt show, horrible thing. The mayor didn't appoint people who are most qualified. Just imagine if you were a business owner and then you made decisions on who you'd hire based on their sexual favors. That's exactly what happened with Brown. Kamala Harris did sexual favors for him and got appointed to political posts. And that's a terrible thing. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed going over the story. I don't want to make the video too long. And again, it's at night and I'm not feeling the best, so I better get some sleep. Make sure I'm not catching COVID. And hopefully we'll see you in a few days. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful night.